Imagine you ask a coworker a pretty simple question about like missing a financial file,
Right.
and they just cross their arms, look away, and tell you, you know, I don't want to talk about it.
Which is usually a pretty clear sign to back off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for most of us, that no is a boundary. You back off. You assume there's this underlying social contract where we respect people's reluctance.
Yeah, normally you would.
But imagine you actually possess the training we're looking at today. To you, that no isn't a boundary at all. It's um, it's a psychological puzzle that you've been specifically trained to crack.
That shift in perspective really changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because, I mean, the default setting for everyday life is trust. Because if it wasn't, society would just, grind to a halt. You don't sit there and analyze your friend's blink rate when they say they had a fine weekend.
Right, yeah. That'd be exhausting.
Exactly. But stepping into the world of corporate investigation and fraud, that completely flips that default setting. In that specific environment, trust is actually treated as a vulnerability.
Wow, a vulnerability.
Yeah. Every spoken word, every pause, and every written sentence becomes a data point in this really high-stakes game of extraction.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are super thrilled to have you with us as we unpack a highly unique piece of source material today.
It's definitely a fun one.
It is.
Yeah.
We aren't looking at a research paper or like an investigative journalism piece today. We're actually looking at a product detail page from the website of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners.
Or the ACFE.
Right, the ACFE.
Yeah.
And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how anti-fraud professionals are trained to interrogate suspects and witnesses.
Which is fascinating.
It really is. And we're going to do that simply by analyzing the mechanics, the curriculum, and the target audience of a specific certification program that they are selling right on their site.
Analyzing what a profession buys to train its own people, it really reveals the unvarnished reality of what those professionals actually face in the field.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
It strips away all the theory and just shows you the tactical tools they need to survive out there.
Okay, let's unpack this. The product in our digital shopping cart today is called the Fraud-Related Interviewing Certificate Program.
Right.
And the ACFE is basically offering this as a tool to teach professionals how to extract the truth from people who want to hide it.
People who have a lot to lose.
Exactly. So let's establish a baseline before we get into the heavy, psychological warfare of the actual curriculum.
Yeah.
What does it take just to get in the door?
Well, the barrier to entry tells us immediately that this is a serious professional investment.
Right, the cost.
Yeah, the price tag sits at $385 for non-members, and there's a discounted rate of $308 if you are already an ACFE member.
Which isn't pocket change.
No, not at all. But honestly, the financial cost is secondary to the technical prerequisite. The ACFE expects you to already possess a familiarity with basic interviewing techniques.
Ah, meaning they aren't going to hold your hand.
Exactly.
Like they aren't teaching you how to set up a conference room or how to ask an open-ended question or how to practice active listening.
Right. You're expected to bring those tools with you on day one.
So if basic interviewing is, learning how to drive around your neighborhood.
Yeah, then this certificate program is like a defensive driving course for high-speed pursuits.
I love that.
The target audience is incredibly specific, which totally dictates that assumption of prior knowledge.
Thinking about this, it kind of feels like getting a specialized scuba diving certification.
Oh, how so?
Well, you already know how to swim.
Right.
You might even have your basic open water certification.
Mm-hmm.
But you aren't trying to spend 8 years becoming a full-time marine biologist.
Oh, I see.
You just need the specific tactical skills to dive into a deep, dark underwater cave without panicking and, running out of air.
That's a great way to look at it. And that scuba analogy really highlights something crucial about the modern professional landscape.
Yeah.
And it actually aligns perfectly with how the ACFE positions this product against their main credential.
Right, because the marine biologist in my scenario would be a CFE.
Exactly, a certified fraud examiner. The source material is very explicit about this. The fraud-related interviewing certificate does not replace the CFE credential.
Right. It's a totally different track.
Yeah, it doesn't even count toward your eligibility to sit for the CFE exam.
Because the CFE is the gold standard.
Right.
It encompasses a massive range of skills from financial auditing to legal compliance.
Yep.
This certificate is a completely different beast. It really seems tailored for people who fall into a few very distinct camps.
Definitely.
Like maybe you have some experience in the anti-fraud profession, but you simply aren't ready to tackle the massive undertaking of the full CFE exam.
Or maybe you already are a CFE, but you want to market a highly specific, undeniable proficiency in conducting fraud-related interviews to your clients.
Right, like a specialized badge.
Exactly. And the source material also points to a third group, people who simply work in a job or a department that involves a really high risk of fraud.
Like who?
Well, they're the ones in the trenches. Human resources, internal auditing, loss prevention.
Oh, sure.
They need tactical skills immediately. If we
Right.
connect this to the bigger picture, we are definitely moving away from relying solely on massive monolithic degrees.
Yeah, everything is so specialized now.
Right. Today's high-stakes corporate environments rely heavily on these highly targeted niche micro-credentials. Employers don't just want a resume that says you understand fraud in a broad sense.
They want proof.
Verifiable proof. They want to know that you can sit across the table from a reluctant employee who has been, say, embezzling company funds and actually successfully extract a confession.
Wow. Okay, so let's step inside that interrogation room.
Yeah.
We know who is taking this course and why they need it. But what exactly are these professionals being taught for $385?
The curriculum is pretty intense.
Yeah, it's divided into 3 required courses, and honestly, just reading the syllabus titles is a bit jarring.
I bet.
To earn this certificate, you must complete Getting Past No, How to Get Reluctant Interviewees to Share Information, followed by Interviewing Witnesses and Suspects, and finally, Written Statement Analysis.
All very heavy topics.
They are, and I actually have to push back a little on that last one. Written Statement Analysis.
Yeah.
How do you interrogate a piece of paper? I mean, we're talking about human communication, right?
Right.
Tone of voice, body language. It boggles my mind that they have an entire dedicated course just for reading statements.
Well, what's fascinating here is that you have to think of analyzing a written statement, like looking at the source code of a website, instead of just looking at the front-end user interface.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. When you talk to someone, you are distracted by the interface, their smile, their eye contact, their tone. But when you strip all of that away and force them to write down what happened,
Just get the raw text.
exactly, you are left with the pure structural code of their story. And you can scan that code for structural bugs, which in this case is deception.
Okay, wait. What does a structural bug look like in a written statement? Give me an example of how you actually analyze a sentence for fraud.
Okay, a prime example taught in these types of advanced analysis courses is the concept of psychological distancing.
Psychological distancing.
Right. When someone writes a truthful statement, they naturally own their actions. They will write, I left the office at 5 p.m., I locked the front door, I put the keys in my pocket.
Very straightforward.
Yes. They are using the pronoun I and speaking in the active voice. But when deception enters the brain, the subconscious actively tries to distance the author from the lie.
Because lying is psychologically uncomfortable.
Precisely. It takes a cognitive toll.
Mhm.
So suddenly the pronoun I vanishes from the text.
Why, really?
Yeah. The active voice becomes passive. So the deceptive statement reads, the office was left at 5 p.m. The front door was locked. The keys were placed in the pocket.
Oh, gosh.
The person writing it thinks they're just giving you the facts. But to a trained professional, the grammar itself is screaming that the author does not want to take ownership of that specific moment in the timeline.
That is absolutely wild. They are literally analyzing the grammar of guilt.
The grammar of guilt. I like that.
I mean, you aren't just reading for the facts. You're looking for the empty spaces where the truth was carefully omitted.
Exactly. You are analyzing pronoun usage, sudden changes in verb tense from past to present, and even the specific nouns they choose to replace names.
It sounds so intense.
It is intensely psychological, and that deep dive into human psychology carries directly over into the first course on the syllabus, Getting Past No.
Yeah, I want to spend some time on Getting Past No, because this really addresses the scenario we opened the show with.
Right. The coworker who won't talk.
Exactly. In polite society, no is the end of the line. If someone says they don't want to talk, you respect that boundary. So how do you systematically dismantle someone's reluctance without just, yelling at them or physically intimidating them?
Well, you have to treat human reluctance as a variable in a psychological equation. People say no because their internal cost-benefit analysis tells them that sharing the information will cause them harm.
Like losing their job.
or facing public embarrassment, or even going to jail. The curriculum teaches professionals how to systematically alter that internal math.
Okay.
You don't ask the same question louder. You change the psychological landscape so that telling the truth suddenly feels like the safer, more appealing option.
How does that actually work in practice, though? If a suspect is sitting there with their arms crossed, refusing to speak, what psychological levers is the interviewer pulling?
One of the most effective levers is rationalization.
Rationalization. Okay.
Let's say an employee is suspected of stealing money from the register. If you sit down and say, "Why did you steal the money? You're a thief," you have spiked their defensive walls to maximum height.
Oh, for sure. They will shut down entirely.
Because you framed them as a villain. And nobody wants to be the villain in their own story.
Right.
So instead, a trained interviewer will offer a psychological bridge. They might lower their voice, shift from an interrogative posture to a conversational one, and say something like, "I've been looking at your file. I know you've been under immense financial pressure at home lately with the medical bills."
Wow, making it empathetic.
Exactly. Honestly, anyone in your shoes might have viewed taking that cash as a temporary loan just to keep their family afloat. Did you take it to hurt the company, or were you just trying to help your family?
Oh, wow. You are totally minimizing the moral weight of the act. You basically give them a socially acceptable excuse for their crime.
You are giving them a way to confess while still saving face. You've essentially told them, you aren't a bad person, you just made a desperate choice for a good reason.
That is so manipulative,
Ugh.
but brilliant.
By doing that, the perceived cost of confessing drops dramatically. The wall of reluctance crumbles, and they step right over that bridge you built for them. It's a highly calculated manipulation of cognitive load and human empathy.
Which perfectly explains why the second course, interviewing witnesses and suspects, has to make a very clear distinction between the two.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you wouldn't use that intense rationalization tactic on a witness who just happened to see something.
No, the approach is night and day. A witness usually wants to help, but human memory is incredibly fallible.
Right.
The tactics used for a witness involve cognitive interviewing, helping them mentally recreate the physical environment, the sounds, the smells of the room, to jog their memory without accidentally planting false details.
But a suspect.
A suspect is actively deploying countermeasures against you. The tactics shift to dismantling those countermeasures.
You're really learning to hack the human brain, whether you're trying to bypass a firewall of deception or, recover a corrupted memory file.
That's a great way to put it.
Knowing the sheer intensity of these psychological tactics naturally makes you wonder about the stakes of the certificate itself.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm an employer, how do I know the person I'm hiring actually mastered the grammar of guilt or the mechanics of persuasion? You can't just let someone watch a few videos, click a button, and hand them a certificate saying they are an interrogation expert.
And the ACFE doesn't let that happen. The parameters for earning this certificate reflect the zero margin for error nature of the fraud profession itself.
Let's outline the rules of the game here, because the testing mechanics are, frankly, unforgiving.
Very strict.
Yeah. There are 3 distinct exams, one corresponding to each of the 3 intense lessons we just explored. To earn the certificate, you must achieve a passing score of 70% or higher on every single exam.
Right.
And you are strictly on the clock. You have exactly 1 year from the date of purchase to complete the entire program.
That absolute 70% threshold establishes a definitive baseline of competence. You cannot just scrape by with a lucky guess on a few multiple-choice questions.
No, definitely not.
You have to demonstrably prove you understand the mechanics of psychological distancing and cognitive load.
And the penalty for failure is where things get really serious.
That's it.
You only get 3 attempts per exam. If you fail an exam 3 times, that's it. You are locked out of the system.
Yep.
Or if you let the 1-year time limit expire because you got busy with other projects, you lose access to the courses entirely.
The structure forces accountability. So what happens to the professional who gets locked out?
Well, they have to make what is essentially a corporate walk of shame.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to physically contact ACFE member services, speak to a representative, and pay a $125 certificate program re-enrollment fee.
Ouch.
Right. Paying that penalty fee resets the exams you haven't passed, granting you another 3 attempts, and it buys you 1 additional year to complete the program.
That $125 fee is a brilliant mechanism of behavioral economics.
How so?
Well, it isn't so exorbitant that it ruins your career or prevents you from trying again. But it is enough of a financial sting and a significant professional annoyance to ensure that candidates take the exam seriously the first time around.
It hurts just enough.
Exactly. It forces the learner to actively engage with the heavy psychological material rather than just passively clicking through the slides while watching television.
That makes a lot of sense. And if you do take it seriously and you hit that 70% mark on all 3 exams, the rewards are highly tangible and designed to immediately boost your career.
What do you get?
Well, first, successfully completing the program provides you with 8 NASB-approved CPE credits.
Ah, CPE credits.
Yeah, continuing professional education. For anyone listening who isn't in accounting or finance, accumulating CPE credits is a mandatory annual part of keeping your professional licenses alive.
And that NASB approval carries immense weight.
Really?
Oh, yeah. NASB isn't just a random acronym. The National Association of State Boards of Accountancy sets the gold standard for continuing education in the finance world. Wow, okay.
Earning NASB approval means this curriculum has been rigorously vetted against strict national regulatory standards. It basically guarantees employers that the training is legitimate, objective, and scientifically sound.
So it's not just fluff.
Far from it. It turns this from a neat skill-building exercise into a mandatory career maintenance tool.
Got it. You also get a printable certificate immediately upon passing. But the modern flex, the thing people really want, is the digital badge.
Everyone loves a digital badge.
They really do. The ACFE states that within 5 to 7 business days of completing the program, you receive a digital badge that you can add directly to your LinkedIn profile or email signature.
Which is pretty standard now. But that 5 to 7 business day window implies a secure, verified issuing process.
Right, it's not just an automatic JPEG they email you.
Exactly. It's a secure means of storing and publishing your accomplishment online that cannot be easily faked. It tells prospective employers, clients, and even adversarial suspects instantly that your psychological tactics have been vetted by a global authority. Now, here is a major selling point that stuck out to me, especially when we compare this micro-credential to traditional degrees or broader certification.
What's that?
This specific certificate never expires. The source material states explicitly, once you've earned it, you have it for life.
Which is a stark contrast to their main CFE credential, which requires constant upkeep.
Yeah, the Certified Fraud Examiner credential requires ongoing maintenance, annual fees, and continuous reporting to stay active. But the fraud-related interviewing certificate requires absolutely zero maintenance. It's yours forever.
That's a huge perk.
It is. Oh, and if that wasn't enough to get a hesitant professional to click Add to Cart, the ACFE throws in a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you aren't satisfied with the course, you can return it for a full refund.
You know, standing firmly behind the quality of their psychological training with a money-back guarantee is a very confident posture for an organization whose entire existence revolves around spotting deception and fraud.
That is a very good point. They'd spot a fake refund claim pretty quick.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for us? We started today by looking at a surprisingly simple piece of source material, a digital shopping cart page for corporate training.
Just a product page.
Right. But by unpacking it, we've explored the intense, structured, and highly regulated way that anti-fraud professionals learn to operate.
Yeah.
We've seen how they use a $385 program to master the art of dismantling reluctance, to learn the grammar of guilt hidden in written statements, and to build psychological bridges to get past no.
All under quite a bit of pressure.
Exactly. They do it all under the pressure of strict exams, time limits, and the pursuit of a verifiable digital badge of authority.
This raises an important question, though, about the nature of truth in our own professional and personal lives.
How so?
Well, we tend to think of interviews or even tough conversations as simple question and answer sessions. But this product page reveals that in the world of fraud, an interview is a strategic, calculated extraction of data.
It really is.
And it deals with fundamental human behaviors that we all share. People naturally want to protect themselves. They naturally employ deception when they feel threatened. And they instinctively cross their arms and say no when they feel exposed.
Right.
This certificate program exists because those human instincts are predictable. They can be anticipated, charted, and ultimately bypassed by someone who knows how to pull the right levers.
It really shifts your perspective on every single interaction you have, which brings me to a final thought for you, our listener, to ponder as you go about the rest of your day. We established at the very beginning of this deep dive that normal social interaction relies on a generous baseline of trust. But think about everything we just uncovered.
It's a lot.
If trained professionals require a multi-course certificate program, strict exams, and a highly specialized psychological curriculum just to learn how to analyze written statements for passive voice and get people to stop saying no,
Yeah.
how much everyday deception are you completely missing in your daily emails, text messages, and casual conversations simply because you don't have this training?
It certainly makes you wonder what your own casual written statements might be revealing about your subconscious to someone who knows how to read the code.
It really does. It makes me want to double-check every email I send.
Same here.
Keep questioning the information around you. Trust your instincts when the grammar of a story suddenly shifts. And maybe look a little closer at the next message you receive. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.